Previously on Balls.
How are you?
All right, new man.
Very well, thanks.
All right. Now, just saying, it's in some ways it's kind of a better scenario now that he hasn't taken these guys all along for so much time, but we don't know. We've been just chatting to Dave McCready from Nedbank Wealth about the whole David George issue. I'm stunned. I walked in here and I'm gobsmacked, Rob.
Yeah, Darren, obviously some people are really, really, really stupid and, that short-minded that they actually think they're going to get away with things like that in today's age. And, as you can see, it's not going to happen.
Yeah. I was just saying before we called you, exactly that. I was saying it's like driving on the highway and in the distance you see a speed trap and already 4 cars pulled over and you decide let's put foot and hit 200.
100%.
It's accelerate, particularly after already Lance's whole world was unraveling around him, and apparently when he was tested in August, I mean, this is already when Lance's world was unraveling. So if you know the kingpin is on his way down, how do you do this?
Correct. That just goes to show how, like I said, how short-minded and possibly how stupid some people are. Because, I mean, if you know that there's that much going down, people giving testimony as to what's gone on in the sport, and they're now talking to the people who are doing the testing. So, the testing's basically caught up to the guys who are trying to cheat. And so I wouldn't say they're on a level playing field, but the testers are right there. They're knowing what's there. They know what's happening, how the guys are doing it, and how they're getting away with it. And like you said, if the kingpins now are being caught, and so many high-profile people have spoken all about it, if a guy like David George thinks he's going to get away with it, stupid.
Unfathomable. It's absolutely unfathomable. And the other thing which annoys me, it must absolutely get up your nose, is that there are South African cyclists who are now, wherever you go, you're getting tarred with the same brush, because it's now becoming such a common day story that people look at Robbie Hunter and go, I wonder if he's not doing it, because everyone else has been doing it.
Well, 100%, Darren. Darren, one of the biggest problems is, it's not the first time David George has been in trouble, and now that he's being caught totally, it just goes to show even more how silly he is, because, a couple of years ago overseas, he got warned for possible EPO use. And, a couple of years down the line, he actually gets caught for it. So if you've been warned once, you're right there, you've made mistakes, maybe you can now walk the right line. Obviously he doesn't seem to learn his lessons, and now, right, he's gone and tarred a lot of people, including myself, with the same brush. And it's, like you said, Nedbank, who you've just been speaking to, is now prepared to walk away from the sport, and it's a loss of sponsors for people who actually love the sport and who are trying to actually do something in the sport.
Absolutely. Well, look, it might not necessarily be a loss of Nedbank to the sport, because when we were talking to Dave, he was saying, and he made the point, he was saying, look, it's completely made their decision now. They're going to have to completely relook. And when someone says that, you can read into it, no more sponsorship of individuals. Now, here's a guy called Robbie Hunter who's won a stage of the Tour de France. He's got more Tour de France's in his future. We're talking about maybe a South African team going cycling, taking part in the Tour de France. These sponsors this is exactly what they're saying. They're saying we're not touching these cyclists. We'll go into social cycling, we'll sponsor individuals and social things, and that's where the money goes. But you left high and dry, as would be other cyclists.
I think the biggest problem is, like you say, the sport has always battled on a professional level, and all of a sudden now, you can kind of see why, and you can understand why people don't want to support the sport, because you've got certain individuals who are in it for themselves, they're not there to try and help the sport move forward at all. And after so many mistakes have been made in the sport, and you continue to walk down your own little road, that's exactly why the sponsors will probably stay in the sport, because it really is a great sport, and there's a lot of people who stay involved on, like you said, on an amateur level, on a level that, like the Argus and 94.7, that kind of thing, where there's a huge return for corporate sponsors. But when they're talking about individual athletes, they say no thanks, because there's just too much headaches with the whole story.
Rob, let me ask you. I was asking Simon and John here in particular. For someone to do this in the context of what's been going on over the last, not just this year, but over the last few years, for someone to try this now, how much of a difference does taking EPO actually make? How much of a difference would it make in David George's life? I can understand, I can never condone, but I can understand maybe a Lance Armstrong doing this, because the difference between just having ridden the Tour de France and winning a stage in the Tour de France are big differences, and winning a stage in the Tour de France to actually winning the actual Tour are massive.
Yeah.
But I mean, how much more did it advantage David George, who was a decent cyclist from what I can gather? I mean, he wasn't a slouch. What did it add to his career?
Right now, I don't think very much. I think a very stupid and very amateur mistake to make, and he's now going to honestly get the full brunt of the South African public, and anyone who's involved in the sport who's kind of ever held out any kind of a hope for him are really going to turn their backs on him because of this. And it's, obviously there is an advantage that's going to make you, ride faster. It's a performance enhancing drug. It doesn't mean take it that all of a sudden you're going to win something. It's something that if you are training hard, it's going to help you go faster. Yeah. But it's by no means going to make a donkey a racehorse. So David George, who unfortunately, yes, he's had some reasonable results on the international level. He's won Tour of Malaysia, which was probably his biggest race ever. But racing in Europe, he never got results at all. So him taking substances to race in South Africa, I find really poor.
That's right. I can't understand what difference it would have made, one way or the other. I mean, why, what are you gunning for that you got to start doing that at a time when you did it as well? I mean, does South African cycling,
again at the end of his career, where what's he got? Maybe another 1 or 2 years to finish off racing. Yeah, very, very silly.
It does South African cycling. I mean, does it get to a point where senior guys like yourself, and I mean, you are the leading guy. I think you are the sort of say, take this in the right way, Rob. The senior citizen, the most experienced, the guy that's been there, done that. Where you get everyone's got to get together. We're talking about our individuals to try and save the situation, and you get together with your Nedbanks and whoever's putting money into cycling, and actually almost have something like a truth commission. Where we say, okay, guys, look, here's the line. This is where it's drawn. We all get together and we 100%. Go. Who's involved, who's doing what, who's done what, even if there's an amnesty or something. Get everyone together and say, come out, let's start from a clean slate so we know South African cycling is clean.
Look, I agree with you, and I have no problem with that, and if people want to do that, then so be it. And I think that, one of the biggest things is a lot of guys who do go down that road, who walk down the road like maybe David George has just done right now, they don't tell family and friends and that kind of stuff. So one of the biggest problems is to go and all of a sudden the people that you've trusted the most and who've trusted you, and all along you've gone, I've never done anything, now I'm clean, and all of a sudden maybe possibly telling your wife, yes, all these, the last 10 years have all been a lie. And so I think that's a hard part if they do some kind of a Truth and Reconciliation Commission kind of thing. And look, I have no doubt that it's a good thing for the sport. Whether the athletes are prepared to stand up and actually say it, that's always a different story. But I think there's definitely a place right now here and internationally, actually.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because look, if you're in a forum like that and then you go no and you keep stum, and then after that, when you've sat with all your peers and looked them in the eye, you've had a chance now to discuss this, and you've sat there and you've contributed to this thing. And then afterwards it comes out that you were sitting there lying. I mean, that is probably going to be an even worse scenario. So, yeah.
Very much so. Very much so.
I think that's, South Africa's an opportunity now because, I mean, suddenly we're now sort of put into this painted with this brush as well. While it's still a new thing from a South African point of view, let's get it done now. Nip it in the bud now.
No, I agree. If the guys want to do it, then they must do it. And I mean, I'm all for it. I have, really no problem with it. So I mean, if South African sport in general can get rid of the guys who are trying to move ahead in that way, then we must do it. I agree.
Absolutely. It might just turn things around as far as sponsors being lost to guys like yourself and some of the other honest cyclists in future.
Couldn't agree more, Darren.
It must be so frustrating for you, Rob. Every time we speak to you, it's about drugs.
I'm starting to think you guys don't like me at all.
We love you, Rob. How's your bicycle there? How's your cycling going, Robert?
Mine's actually going very good. Training is going well, and obviously just preparing for next season, but it's all good.
What time are you starting the 94.7?
A little bit too late for my liking, but obviously I'm doing the charity thing, so all the charity events are going off quite late. So I think I'm starting just after 8 o'clock, maybe.
Shit, that is late.
About 8:15. So I think the first car's already be finished, and we're only starting.
Yeah, but you'll be done by 9.
I think we could.
I wish I was that fast.
Robbie, we could be in your group. I think we could well be.
I want to be in your peloton.
I think we are. In an early
you guys are there, even better.
Just slip into Rob's slipstream and sit back, open up a nice little
for a
Cabernet
kilometer, for 1
Sauvignon,
kilometer, then we lost.
and let Rob
I'll tell
tell
you
you
what,
lot.
if you guys are with us, you'll definitely enjoy it because we'll stop at a few pit stops along the way and enjoy it.
Lovely.
So.
Awesome stuff.
Brilliant.
Lekker, Rob. Well, listen, we don't like harassing you too much about soccer because you actually sort of, I know you're training, but I mean, it's also a holiday for you back home and you're just sort of chilling. So. And just one final question now, because you haven't replied to my SMS, so I'm not going to bother you.
Yesterday, I'm still
Just is wanting to know, are you part of his team or
I'd love
not?
to be at the event. I'd love to be at the event.
But are you going to be there? We want to confirm you
The
now.
deal was that we'd help
Yeah.
get Robbie back from Cape Town. Remember, he was going down to Cape Town.
Are you going to be in Cape? Do you need to get up from Cape Town?
My only issue is I'm going to be in Cape Town over that time, even though I'd love to be at your event.
So if we can get you up from Cape Town, you'll play.
Yes.
But we said we would do that before. You just got to let us know what time you want to fly up and what time you want to get back.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what, Darren, send me the details of the event and then we can work around that. How's that?
All right,
I'll
cool.
be
We'll
there.
organise that today. Lekker, Robbo. Appreciate it, buddy. Thanks for
I'll be
the
there.
chat, and we'll chat to you later. Okay. Cheers,
Cheers,
bud.
Chat soon.
Bye.
Cheers,
Bye.
Bye.
Robbie Hunter.
This is Balls Visual Radio. Darren, Simon, Kate, and John. Weekdays from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Central African Time. Balls.co.za